All right, we are day 11 of the hush money trial going on in New York City. Hope Hicks on the stand right now. We're told that she was very nervous, admitted it herself, talking about her former boss at the time. She's still up there, I understand. But again, you do have to wonder if Donald Trump is convicted of any one of these charges, how that would register. There's a poll out in the New York Post, among other places, that shows it would tighten the race up somewhat, but it doesn't automatically mean that Joe Biden is a beneficiary. These are weird times here, to put it mildly. Barry Goldwater Jr. joins us right now, the former California Congress member, 1969 to 1983. Of course, the son of Arizona Senator Barry Goldwater, who ran for president in 1964. Barry, good to see you again.
Good to see you, Neil.
What do you make?
Been a while.
It has too long, my friend. Let me ask you a little bit about what you think this trial's impact, these legal issues with Donald Trump could have. Looking at the polls, not much, but you know there's that wrinkle. If he is convicted on any of these counts that come up, what do you think? Then what?
Trump will win. That's what I think. The vote will be against Biden because of his lack of good leadership. This country is desperately needing strong leadership, and we're not getting it from Joe Biden. And I think that will yield to the benefit of Trump, regardless of what happens.
You know, Barry, you and I have chatted about this before. I think of your dad, and had he waited to run 4 years later, when we had all the stuff we're kind of experiencing right now with protests, a lot more severe then and a lot more raucous back then, I grant you, he might have had a different outcome than the blowout of 1964 when Lyndon Johnson won. But what do you make of this environment today and the law and order issues that Donald Trump is raising to address what's going on today?
You know, if you look historically, Neil, when there is unrest in this country, it historically has always been an in-kind contribution to the right, to mostly Republicans. If you remember, Ronald Reagan in 1966 ran against the free speech movement and pledged to clean up Berkeley. And then you had Nixon ran on law and order, and Ronald Reagan sent in the troops. And anytime you have strong leadership and there's unrest, Republicans tend to benefit.
So do you think that could be happening now? You know, Donald Trump has been pounding that theme that we've got law and disorder going on in this country, and he would put a stop to that. He would not allow these kids to do what they've done to the American flag and to just blast the United States or talk of the anti-Semitism and worse that he sees running rampant. What do you think of that?
Well, our universities are a place for education, not for violence. And it's sad that our administrators of these universities, our chancellors and the presidents, aren't taking charge and bringing and doing something about that. I recall back in 1970, when I first ran for Congress, we had UC Santa Barbara riots where they burnt down the Bank of America.
Right.
A student was shot, and you remember S.I. Hayakawa, that's one out of the past. He jumped up on top of a sound truck and pulled out the speaker wires and told the students to go back to class. And 5 years later, he was elected to the United States Senate. So we've been through difficult times before, but we need strong leadership in this country. And I think American people want that. They're looking for somebody that's going to stand up and take charge and show leadership. We don't have that with Biden or even the left. You know,
in your state, in Arizona, of course, what's been happening is the Democratic governor there shooting down this 1864 law that, you know, essentially had made abortion what it was, illegal. So it's caused a very tough issue back and forth. Real quickly, very quickly, do you think that's a weak issue for Republicans, that they're in trouble on it?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think most people believe that life is sacred and that somehow we need to do whatever we can to protect it. Abortion is a divisive issue. And I think there are more important issues that we have to deal with this year, such as inflation and the border and what have you. So it is an issue, but I don't think it's going to be that strong this year.
Got it, Barry. Thank you very much.